and here we are for Husky Hoops. Oh, you got the Giants hat on. I love it. I love it. I love it. I wish the other night was a little bit better, but I love it.
I wish the other night was a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, I know. We all do. We all do. So the icon, legendary voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Joe D'Ambrosia. Joe, great to see you.
Good to be with you, my favorite people.
And UConn legend and Western Connecticut State University head coach with a big rivalry game tonight, Maria Conlon.
What's up, fellas?
It's my favorite part. Game against Econ Westcon.
Yeah, big game tonight. We had one of those like notorious joking around, like not taking everything serious practices yesterday, and I had to like lose it halfway through. You know, I feel like that just always happens with kids nowadays. It's like, their inability at times to like I can't resonate with that. Like I'm so locked in all the time. And I'm not saying that I'm not like lighthearted, because I am. But like I've been seeing red for like 3 days getting ready for this. You know, these kids are seeing pink. I don't know.
What does that Maria Conlon look like? Because we've never seen that.
Well, to me, it looks you have like when I'm locked in, I'm like, I'm here. Right?
No, I mean angry. I mean angry, pissed.
Oh man. Annoyed. You know, it's very rare.
It takes a lot.
It really, really takes a lot. Like my two assistants that I have maybe seen it like 2 other times. And I didn't like lose it to that point yesterday.
Yeah.
But I pulled one of those like, should we just go home, guys? Like an hour in, like,
oh, I like that.
You know, like, but what's the point of this? Like, let's just, if we're gonna roll the dice today, we may as well roll the dice tomorrow, you know? Because
see what happens.
Like, my frustration now, which I didn't necessarily have as a player because it wasn't me doing it, is I did like 7 hours of film for this, right? Like to prep them. Well, that's like 7 hours in addition to all the hours that I'm spending away from my kids and my family. And these kids are joking around. It just it drives me batty. But
I don't blame you. Good for you.
We finished strong, you know, yesterday. And it's not all the kids, right? And like I said yesterday, I said, listen, I'll ride at dawn with the 6 kids that are gonna be locked in. I don't care if you dribble it off your foot or you can't hit the side of a backboard. I'm gonna ride with the kids that are gonna take it serious. So
yeah, good for you. Good for you.
Well, I know it's the most frustrating thing of all when they act like that.
Well, and the flip side is seriously. Like, I don't know if you've seen this, Joe, with like, you know, going to a practice before a game and getting kind of like a preview, is like sometimes we'll have the best practice and we play like absolute garbage the next day.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and sometimes we'll have the worst practice the day before and we come out and we play great. So it's like, you don't really know.
Yeah,
it's like a baseball pitcher who does his bullpen before the game and has nothing, and then goes out and pitches a 3-hit shutout and strikes out 12. Yep. You know, one doesn't always. Sometimes it does, but one doesn't always indicate how the performance is going to be. So.
Yep.
So, Maria, you called the women's game last night against South Florida, and fairly accurately a 30-point win. And unfortunately, they have to play DePaul coming up on Sunday. But Sue Bird's jersey is being retired. That's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not
overdue.
I'm not like a savant for being able to call that a 30-point or more victory. So I'm not even going to give myself credit for that. That's just common sense. And I think it's going to be even worse on Sunday, to be honest.
Oh, I know.
DePaul. So interesting scoop for you guys on DePaul. So a kid that I coached at Notre Dame, her dad actually is one of my assistants. So Ajanique Mayo is at DePaul. And she's one of their better players. She was like all rookie team a couple of years ago in the Big East. She's out with what they think is a torn meniscus. And I think she's like their – yeah. So they're going to be even worse. I was going to go up on Sunday just to see her, but she's not traveling now. And after getting back from Southern Maine at like 1 a.m, I'm just not going to make the trek up for the 50-point blowout. I'm just not doing it. because that's
Yeah.
exactly what it's going to be. So,
I don't blame you.
yeah.
Well, I know. Was there anything from last night? I mean, that stood out? I mean, AZ played great as usual, but it was typical dominance.
I actually, AZ did not shoot the ball well last night. I don't think she made a three. Am I wrong
Oh,
about
she
that? I
did
don't,
not. She did not
No,
make
0
any.
for 4.
yeah, that's got to be like the first game in a while where she's gone over. I mean, I've seen her go over and a half, but over in a whole game. I mean, she probably only played 20 minutes, but that's rare to see her go over behind the arc. Besides that, I thought she played well.
Especially healthy. You never see her do that when she's healthy.
Yeah, and obviously she had good looks. Sarah was Sarah.
Yeah.
Ashlyn Shade played a little bit better, and then Blanca off the bench played well.
Yeah, she's been
So,
coming along nicely.
Yeah, Heckle wasn't bad. Did she even miss a shot? I don't remember seeing her miss a shot.
She was 4 or 5. She
There
missed
we
one
go.
shot.
So, I mean, I'm sure if you look at the box score, I didn't take like a full look at it, but I don't think she lit up the box score, but I thought she played better than she has the last few times. But yeah, I mean, listen, they had four kids in double figures, pretty standard in a game like that. I'm surprised it wasn't more, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say after that type of the game. That type of a game. Everybody, for the most part, everybody played, which was good.
Yep. They got done what they needed to get done.
Yep.
And they have DePaul before they have South Carolina, USC, who they will handle, as you said, because of their roster, obviously. And I think that they're going to continue to roll. Right, like you said. I mean, there's a chance they could go undefeated this year, and rock and roll, and that would be wonderful. And with the talent that they have, with the talent that they brought in, it's amazing to me how they continue to get better and better, and I hope it continues. And like you said, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even seen their best. Joe, what did you think?
I didn't get to watch much of the game because I had a event in downtown Hartford last night. But every time I looked up, it was 10-2, 20-4. Look, it was typical. I mean, UConn, as much as we love Jose Fernandez, who was honored at halftime, who will be Paige Becker's new coach next year.
Right.
As much as we love Jose, UConn whacked them when he coached them, and they whacked them last night. And the ball game will be much of the same. I mean, the big thing Sunday will be Suzanne getting her jersey retired, which is incredibly well deserved. I just think Gino's trying to find the pieces to the puzzle. I mean, again, no Ice. She's been out.
Right.
El Alfie played 12 minutes and was a +2. Grabbed 4 rebounds. It looks like Bianca could be that steady third scorer they were looking for. I mean, I think in games like this, and Maria knows this as a player and a coach, you can't take too much out of it. I mean, even if a kid, you can look at KK's line and say 2 points, 3 assists in 20 minutes, big deal. Well, there's only so much you can do in a game like that. And I think the great thing was spreading the minutes out. I mean, nobody played more than the 25 minutes that Sarah and AZ played, and they're always going to play more minutes than anybody else because presto changeo, they're the 2 best players. So I just think what I admire about what Gino's been able to do is the game to game consistency. They'll have a one-off once in a while, but it's never a two-off. It's never 2 games in a row
Never.
where they don't play up to their standards, which are as high as anybody's standards. So I just marvel at the way that the coaches are able to keep the level of consistency up.
Yeah, and that's been huge for them. Like you said, they've never played. It's very rare to see them play 2 games in a row And Maria, I agree with you. Bianca could be that third scorer, that third player that comes through in the clutch. And she has improved game to game, week to week. You've seen steady improvement from her. And I think that's very, very encouraging to see, especially from a freshman, right? And she's from another country as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, like three things that I didn't mention because I was just like thinking about the specific game in general. But to Joe's point and what Gino was able to do, I think there's three things that stand out now that I have taken a look more thoroughly at the box score rate. So they won by however many points. Joe, I guarantee you, he went into the locker room mad. Guess why?
I didn't notice. They get out rebounded.
They got outscored in the fourth quarter.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Right. Which means the subs went in and didn't keep the level to where everybody else did. And I know that's something that always, I mean, listen, if this was 2004, he would have been mad for sure. I've seen him do it, but maybe not now. Maybe a little older Gino took it a little bit easier. I doubt it. But again, I think that speaks to the level of like, he doesn't care if you're the starters or you're the 13th person. Like when you get in there, things have to remain the same against a team like that. I think secondly, it'll be interesting. You called her Bianca, isn't it Blanca?
It's Blanca.
Yeah, Blanca. Get that right, Steve. Come on now. Because obviously she's been producing more than Shade in the starting lineup, right? But what I think he's done really well over the years is, kind of assessing, does this kid play better after being able to observe and watch a few minutes on the bench and be able to adjust and come in and be a spark plug, right? Or is she a kid that would play better starting? Obviously, as of right now, I think she's fine where she's at. That could be an adjustment that I wouldn't be surprised if we see down the road, based off of, Shade or even KK's play, right? So that's the second thing. The third thing is what I've always admired about him that I never really appreciated until I became a head coach is it's really easy as a head coach that when you're up by 30, 35 to pull your main dogs out. And I think the issue with that, and you see this a lot, is like now your main guys their numbers are all skewed, right? If you're UConn and you're pulling your starters out every single time you're up by 25, 30, like you're talking about your starters only playing like 15, 18 minutes a game sometimes. And I think he does a really good job of making sure those kids get theirs before he sits them down for the day, because I think that is important when you go into, postseason awards or just postseason in general, when those kids have to play more regardless. So again, those are just three things that I'd like to highlight that I think, are just points of emphasis.
And looking at the schedule, who on there right now worries you in the next month or so? Is there anyone from now until January that worries you? Nobody, right?
Till January? No. Right. When do we play Notre Dame then? January?
Notre Dame would be the one, yeah.
I'm not worried. I'm honestly not worried about Notre Dame.
No, I think competition.
I think they steamroll USC.
What about Iowa? Is Iowa any good?
Iowa is good. When do they play Iowa?
They play Iowa December 20th.
Oh, there you go. So that's their next, that one's
in Brooklyn.
Yeah, that one's after USC, right?
Yeah, they play USC.
Yes.
Then they play Marquette in Hartford on the 17th, and then go to Brooklyn on the 20th for a 1:30 game with Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa's scrappy. I like Iowa. Like, I think they're going to make some noise in the Big Ten this year. I think that will probably be our next hardest game. I just don't think Notre Dame is as good as people make them out to be. They're kind of like a one-headed monster with Hidalgo, but obviously the rivalry and the history will make that game interesting. But I think Iowa is going to be a tougher matchup for us than Notre Dame.
Plus, you get Notre Dame and Tennessee on your court this year. You don't have to go there. which I
Yeah.
think is makes those games makes you kind of prohibitive favorite.
Yeah. And
those
like
games.
Tennessee will be hard, I think, just because of the style of play.
Right. Yeah.
Not because I think they're better than us. It's just they're the only team that will play all year that plays that style. And it's hard to prep for, because you don't want to spend too much time on it because it's one team. And you can't really, I don't know, unless you have your practice players like subbing every 2 minutes, like 5 fresh ones coming on. I mean, I imagine that's how you do it. But they obviously beat us last year, so I'm sure we'll be geared up, cued in on beating them this
Yeah.
year. So who I wish we were playing, and I don't know why we haven't put them on the schedule yet, is Vandy.
Vanderbilt.
Do you think he doesn't want to play against Shea?
I mean, I don't listen. I don't think he's ever at a point where he won't play somebody for any
Not
reason.
won't. Just doesn't want to because I mean, he probably wouldn't have played Cincinnati if they weren't conference opponents because of JJ.
But he's played he's played Princeton.
But that was in the tournament, wasn't it?
Well, but then we scheduled them regular season a year after that.
All right.
I don't know. Like Vandy's really good. I mean, they're
Yeah.
undefeated. They're like 15th in the country. Obviously, Shea is a big name. I mean, I guess like I always just figured because even when Stacey Hansmeyer was at Oklahoma, she wasn't the head coach; she was the assistant. But we played them.
Well, that's because he loved Sherry Cole.
Yeah, and I mean, we played Ohio State when Samika was there, but she was an assistant. I don't think we ever played GW when Jen was there.
No, but he played. Did he play Hartford? I don't think he played Hartford.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. Unless they saw each other in the first round of the tournament, I don't remember. But no. But I like just from a standpoint of like I think that they got some young studs on that team, and I think they're really good. So like take Shea out of the mix. I wish we were playing them. I think they're going to be at the top of the SEC this year. So just from a competitive standpoint of a team we might see in March or run into. I would have loved to see that. Obviously, I think everyone.
Yeah, that would have been a good game.
Yeah, and I think everybody would love to see Shea back. So maybe down the road, but yeah.
No, I agree with you. I would have loved to see him play against Shea and Vanderbilt and anyone in the SEC because I don't think we have anyone in the SEC on the schedule. But
Tennessee's an
Tennessee.
SEC school. And no, they don't play South Carolina this year. So
Tennessee, right. And looking at the men's game, Joe, we talked about the big win they had against Illinois. What were your thoughts on that one? 74 to 61.
The Illinois win is like a home court win. You won at Kansas. You won with so many players having miserable games. Yeah. And you won because your two kids got their feet wet in a big time environment and didn't shy away from the moment. And Caravan, who was miserable in the first half, played a really, really good second half. Look, Kansas was missing their best player. UConn was missing one of their best players. So that's a wash. Okay. The fact that when UConn was down 8 in the first half and the building was rocking and they didn't let the game get away from them, I think that's a real good sign going forward. And look, the Mullins kid, he looks like the real deal. I mean, you don't want to make assumptions off of one game, but boy, he played with a lot of poise. And look, this is going to be sacrilegious, and I don't care. But at this point in his freshman year, Eric Ryba is much better than Donovan Clingan was. Much better.
Yeah, he is really stepped up. And I don't think anyone was expecting to get 20 to 30 minutes a game out of him. And he has been playing well ever since the season began. And he's another one who looks like he's improved week to week, game to game. He's given a lot of production, and especially with Reed and the injury that he's dealing with. I know they tried him against Illinois. He didn't do much. They pulled him, and they did not play him against against Kansas, but that was a huge win to go out there and beat Kansas at Kansas. Maria, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Joe. It was good to see Mullins out. Like that was my first time like really getting to see him play. So outside of
Yeah.
some highlight stuff or some stuff from high school and things. But I was really impressed with him, especially for like his first like full game back because he played a little bit right against Illinois, Joe.
He played like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, I saw him hit a 3 against Illinois. I thought it looked smooth. But I thought he looked really good against Kansas again. Being out there, tough environment. I was really impressed with him. I think the only thing I remember looking at some of the live stats and just thinking like, I think we had like 13 turnovers, 12 assists. Like that was really it. Like if I had to nitpick, outside of that, I thought we played really well on, with all things considered, like Joe said, with people people picked up the slack for guys who had either off halves or off whatever. I thought it was an all around really, really good game. I mean, we had a bunch of people in double figures.
Yeah, no, we did against Kansas. We had a bunch in against Illinois for sure
So
as
I think
well.
that's good. I mean, Caravan played better in the second half, but still like a little bit dismal shooting wise.
Yeah, 4 for 10.
I would agree.
Yep.
I had
Yeah.
sacrilege. He was 4 for 8 in the second half.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm starting to question. I think some of their 3-point decision making is horrendous. You got Demery, you got Smith, you got Stewart, who I'm about to close the book on, to be honest with you. And you got Ross. You gotta use your head when you're taking these shots. Not every 3 is a good 3. But look, I think one thing that's got to be addressed is what's up with Terrace Reed. Now, this is a different injury. This isn't the same injury. This is an ankle. I think the other thing was a foot or something like that. Did they bring him back too early against Illinois? Probably.
It looked that way. Yeah, it definitely looked that way. Yeah.
And with Rival playing that way, you don't have to do that. You can't afford him being in one game and out the next. That doesn't do you any good.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. He didn't play much against Illinois either. So
15 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
he didn't look comfortable out there.
No, he didn't. And I think to Joe's point, like right now, I don't think we're shooting the 3 that well. I mean, if you look at Illinois and Kansas, I mean, we're shooting like 17 for 50 something.
Right, which is less than 33%. So
yeah. So I do think that part of that is the when and the where of like in the flow of the offense that we're shooting some of these 3s that are just not more in flow. Like we've always been a team after the ball moves, we get some dribble penetration, we get a kick out from a big. Those are great 3s to shoot. Some of these other ones that are rushed are just unnecessary. It's like just get downhill or pound it in the post.
Right.
Yeah,
right. I agree.
7 for 26 against Kansas was not as productive. Joe, what have you thought about Solo Ball? How he's been playing?
He kept him in the game in the first half. I mean,
that's what I thought. He carried him.
He had been in a bit of a slump, but he played better against Illinois. And if it wasn't for him, they might not have had the chance to make the comeback because he was the only guy scoring early. I like that he seems to me, and I don't know what you think, MC, but to me, he doesn't force very rarely does he force a 3. He takes them pretty much in the rhythm of the offense.
Yep.
Sometimes I think Caravan will force a 3. God knows Stewart forces 3s and Malachi Smith and Demery. That triple-double against Bryant didn't mean much last night at the Fog because he played like he was in a fog for most of the game. But I just don't like some of the 3s. It's kind of like watching the Celtics, and I don't like the Celtics, so I'm going to couch that there. But some of the 3s they take are just, you scratch your head. And I think that's the way with the UConn men.
Yeah. Maria, do you agree? You the same thing?
Yeah, and I think one other thing, with the Reed injury, even though him and Alex don't play the same position, I think Alex is having to pick up more of the minutes slack there, which is not good long term for Alex, because I don't, I'm not saying he can't play 38 minutes a game. I think he can, but I don't think he's as efficient without a couple of bouts of rest.
Yeah,
in between
totally
there.
agree.
Yeah, he's
And you're forcing him to play a little bit out of position at times when he's playing that long without Reed in there to carry a little bit more of the load from a rebounding perspective. So, yeah, I think the Reed injury is the biggest thing that is scary right now. And listen, I was always ankles, I was never knees. Thankfully, I'd rather have an ankle injury than a knee injury. But from a rehab and getting back to full speed perspective, basketball is one of those sports where, if your ankle doesn't feel 100%, it's really hard, especially at that level, especially when he's trying to play above the rim. You got to really, really make sure that thing is completely healed, I think, before you throw him back out there.
Because you're always weight bearing with it. There's no break.
Yeah, and think about it. These guys are jumping. They're jumping high. Now you're coming down. That's the big thing with basketball is you're exposing your ankles to anything underneath you when you leave the ground, right? So unlike a lot of other sports where you don't really, football, you twist an ankle, it's kind of but you're not jumping up necessarily every single play and having to play above the rim. So, you're really exposed there. I think you really got to make sure that it's healed so we can get him back into the fold, which in turn, I think alleviates some pressure from some other guys, specifically Caravan.
Absolutely. And Joe, you brought up Demery. He hasn't had the best shot selection. He hasn't had the best production. And obviously it's still early. We're still playing some tough non-conference opponents. Do you see him coming around eventually?
Oh yeah, yeah. This is just. I mean, he showed he's got the skill set. I think foul trouble is a big problem for him because he plays defense with his hands, not with his feet, like a lot of them do. But yeah, I don't see him being an issue going forward. I think he will. I don't think he's Tristan Newton, but I don't think he's Aiden Mahaney either.
Aiden Mahaney. Maria, what about you with Silas? Do you think he's going to come around? Do you see him developing as the year goes on?
I mean, I think this was the first question that I posed in the beginning, Joe, right? Was who's going to be that point guard role? And I think, Ball's had to do a little bit of it, and I think he does it fine, but he's better when he's off the ball.
Yeah.
So I do think that he's got to figure it out a little bit. Again, we don't need him to score 20 a game.
No.
We just need him to not take dumb shots and run the offense and get people into the pockets where they're comfortable, where they can score, which, outside of last year and this year, I really felt like we've had point guards for years and decades now that was their role, I bring it back to my years there. If you look at a Talik Brown, I mean, he was a juggernaut on defense. He wasn't going to score 20 a game. Here and there, he'd give you 12, 10 to 15. But that guy ran the freaking offense, and he distributed. And I'm not just saying he also gave you the hockey assists, the pass that gets to the pass for the shooter, right? This quick rotation of the ball. I think that if he focused on that type of play in that role, he would be better. Yeah. And I think the team would be better. So I think I'm still, I said that in the beginning. That was the one thing for me that I just, again, this year felt like we were missing a little bit. And it we're giving him time. I mean, obviously it's still early, but I think he's got to figure it out sooner rather than later. Cause they got Florida coming up. They got Texas.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed with him, Joe, I don't know if you feel the same, is that he's not as great under pressure as we've seen some other point guards over the years. I think he rushes and he plays a little bit fast, and the offense that they play, which is so strategic and there's constant movement, you gotta think fast, but react a little bit slower, if you know what I mean.
Totally agree, Maria.
Yeah, you gotta
Totally agree.
see it, but slow your body down a little bit. Like you don't have to pass and see at the same time,
I think when the game gets hectic, he gets frantic.
That's my point. Like, and a lot of that is like under pressure. And I think teams are, especially the good
Picking
teams
up
like
on it.
Florida and the Texas, like they're going to zone in on that. Right. And they're just going to try
Yeah.
to speed him up and hope that he turns it over. And it's not even the turnovers. It's not like he's turning it over 8-9 times a game. But I do think that he's speeding the offense faster than it needs to be, which is messing everybody else up.
Right. Screws up everybody else's rhythm. Totally agree.
Yep.
Totally agree. He needs to, and I think he will. I think it's just a matter of.
I think he's capable of it, but
I have more confidence in him doing that than Malachi Smith when he comes in.
Yep.
He just seems like he's 60 miles. It just seems like he's always driving 60 in a 30-mile-an-hour zone.
Oh, he's like me, but that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was blown away that Reed had 4 fouls in the 15 minutes that he played.
Well,
I
he
was
gets
not
fouls all
expecting
the
that.
time. That was an issue last year with him.
In 15 minutes.
Yeah, but
4
you got to
fouls?
also listen, add into the fact that
His
your
injury,
timing
yeah.
is off. And if your ankle's not 100%, maybe you go to push off to get to the spot that you normally, your brain's telling you can get to, and you can't. So I'm not surprised by that either. To Joe's point, he's notoriously been in foul trouble, but I also think part of that probably came from the ankle not being 100%.
Yeah, I give him a break on that one.
Yep.
Yeah. And, the fouls for us is something that we're going to have to deal with all year round. How deep do you think we can go into our bench comfortably and survive each game?
Let me ask you a question. Let me interrupt you, though. Why do we have to deal with it all year long? Can't they play without fouling?
You said that it's something that's not going to improve.
All the UConn cognoscenti on Twitter think they always get screwed by the refs. Okay, well here's a little scoop.
They do.
If every ref is calling the fouls, maybe it's you. Maybe it's you.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's happened for the last 2 years. It's something that we're going to have to deal with. We're obviously not going to be able to fix it. You said it yourself. This is who we are. This is what we're going to have to deal with game to game, week to week. What is the solution? We're just going to have to keep going further down the bench the more foul trouble we get into, correct?
No, when you're 9 deep. No, they're 9 deep. It's not. They're not going to have to go to the. The only break glass in case of emergency guy is Caroma, and he's proven that for 3 or 4 minutes he can give them good bursts of energy. And look, you think Reed's going to be back at some point, and then when you got Reed and Ryba, now they're not going to play together. Everybody's going to be like, remember how they were nuts? They wanted Sonogo and Klingon to play together, and mercifully we never dealt with that. So people are going to want Ryba and Reed to play together, and they're basically play the same position. One's not a step-out shooter. They're both more comfortable next to the hoop. But I don't. Yeah, I mean, you've got with Mullins coming back. Mullins will eventually take Stewart's spot in the starting lineup, and with Reed coming back, he's going to take Ryba's spot in the starting lineup. So then you've got Smith, who admittedly I don't like, but can give you some good minutes. Ross, Ryba, and Stewart coming off the bench, and Caroma if necessary. That's a pretty deep bench. So
That's very dangerous.
There might be games that they need to go to Melander and some of those type people, but I don't think that's a big concern.
Yeah. Maria, what do you say to that? Do you agree with that? Because I think Ryba's played incredible for his first few games.
Yeah, I agree 100% with Joe there. So
yeah, he has definitely stood out, and having him and Reed together, and Mullins healthy, we are going to have a very deep bench that can compete with absolutely anyone. And then, looking at the schedule, Joe, what do you see going forward besides East Texas A&M. How do you see us looking against Florida?
Well, I mean, Florida is a toss-up. Madison
Yeah.
Square Garden will have
Yeah.
more UConn fans there, obviously, but it's the Jimmy V Classic, so it might be a little bit harder to get tickets. But I think Florida and Texas are two great tests before you go into the
Conference play.
Big East schedule. I think obviously Friday night is a bye game. I would not even think of playing Reed in that game. I don't
No.
care if he says he's 100% healthy, and I'm sure that's what they will do, is not play Reed in that game. But I think Florida is going to be a great test, and I think Texas is going to be a really good test. So we'll see. I mean, they're playing. They mentioned this on the broadcast last night. 6 top 20 opponents in 46 days. I dare anybody else to show me another team that's doing that sort of thing. Now, they've had their share of cupcakes wound in there,
of course, right?
but that early portion of the schedule
Doesn't take away.
has been pretty impressive.
Yeah, Maria, what do you think about Florida and Texas? What do you see for us there?
Yeah, I mean, like to Joe's point, I mean, I think they're two well-respected, well-coached programs. I think, they're gonna come out, they're gonna play us hard. I think it's gonna be a good test for us. I think, I mean, I think we're better than both of those teams, but I could also see us, we got to play well too. Can't just be like, hey, we're better. I think that they have enough firepower. They'll be prepared enough to play us that we got to come to play those days. But I think they're great tests, obviously going into the dismal Big East schedule. At least it will give us a couple of harder games before we get on here and we have to, belabor the point of like some of these teams in the Big East are just so bad. But I love it. I love it that we're playing these teams.
Well, and the other thing it'll do is it gives you quad 1 games.
Yep.
Whether you win or lose, you're not going to have. In fact, I don't think other than St. John's, I might be wrong because the metrics change, but I don't think you're going to have many quad 1 games in the Big East once you get into the conference schedule.
No, not at all.
No, just St. John's, like you said. That's it. Just St. John's. That's it. Yep.
And then for the women, we have USC, Marquette, Iowa. Obviously, do you think Iowa would be the toughest test out of those 3 games?
Yes.
And that'll.
And listen, that's no hit on USC. They're well coached. I like her a lot.
No.
I think they'll come out. They'll play hard. I just don't think that they have. I don't think they have the players to beat us. We would have to really, really, really play bad, I think, for that to not be like a 20-point win. That's just me personally. And I've seen USC play a couple of times this year.
They would have to play their best. We would have to play by far our worst. And the question on the men's side, Joe, I know it's day to day. I know it's a different type of injury. Do you think that we will get Reed back by Florida or Texas?
Who knows? I mean, nobody. You don't know the severity of the injury. You don't know. I mean, maybe he's a kid that doesn't handle pain well. I mean, there's 1,000 variables. I think it's dangerous, Steve, to predict when somebody's going to come back from an injury, because then if they don't come back, then you don't want to say, oh, he's malingering or whatever.
Sure.
That's not. So I don't think it does any good to speculate on when somebody's going to come back from it. Here's the thing: when he's back, he's back, and if he's not healthy, don't play him. Because if the one thing I really hate with a passion is when somebody plays and people say, well, he's injured. Well, here's the thing: if he's good enough to play, then he's not that injured. Okay. If he's good enough to be on the floor or on the field, then he's not that injured. If he is that injured, then he shouldn't be playing. So the excuse that somebody's hurt when they're playing, I'm sorry, I don't buy into that.
And Maria, that's something you always preface when talking about the men or women. You always say regarding injury free, being injury free, we could do this, we could do that, because your health status is so important, as we've seen it change over time depending on teams losing stars. You have to stay healthy. That is number one. And then number two is being able to perform and being able to go out there and win and play your schedule. And the Big East schedule coming up, once we get through the non-conference schedule, I mean, you obviously, for the women's side, you see us rolling through that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one in the Big East that can
There's
beat
no
UConn.
one.
I
Yeah.
don't even think on UConn's worst day and their best day that they pulled that off. Again, miracles happen. So I'm not, I would say a less than 1% chance that could happen. But yeah, I mean, listen, the injuries, you like to think as a coach that if you have an injury, you have other kids that step up, even if it's in committee. But I do think that when there are certain injuries on a team, those are really just hard to come back from. Like obviously the UConn women have a couple kids where something happened to them. I think it would definitely change the trajectory of our season. I think on the men's side, it's a little bit easier to hide that. I do believe that than it is on the women's side. But yeah, I think to Joe's point, I hate that too. Like, I'm coming back and I still have in my pocket this excuse that I'm not 100%. Well, if you're not 100%,
Yeah.
then you shouldn't be playing. So
Right.
it should be a non-issue there.
Yeah. And Joe, on the men's side, obviously St. John's is going to be our most competitive team, or the team that's going to give us the most competition in the Big East. Do you see anyone else? Do you see Creighton?
They're not as good as they were last year.
Right.
I always think Marquette's a phony because I don't think he can coach.
You can't. Yeah.
A couple of teams are having good non-conference schedules, but to be honest, I have not looked at their schedules. By the time we do this next Wednesday, coming off the Florida game, I'll have done more. I've done more research on who the Big East teams have played and what I think will happen. But right now, it wouldn't be. I don't know enough about how. I know St. John's hasn't played as well as Adolph
No.
Rupp-Pitino would have thought they were gonna. So
You
let me just say this for a minute. And I don't want to make this into a football discussion, even though Maria could certainly hold her own. But for Rick Pitino to criticize Lane Kiffin is the ultimate pot calling the kettle black.
that made me
That's
laugh
all I got to say.
hysterically.
Mic drop.
That made me
Mic
laugh
drop.
hysterically. Of all people to
Mic
come
drop.
out and say something. Yes. Yeah,
and
I don't know.
Let me interrupt you for a minute. I've been looking at the Florida schedule. Florida's only 5-3.
Yeah,
Florida
no.
lost to Arizona by 6 in Vegas. Then they lost to TCU by 4 in San Diego. And then they lost last night in the SEC ACC Challenge to Duke by 1. So
Yeah.
they haven't exactly been lighting it up yet.
No, they have not. They have struggled to
And
get their
UConn's got the whole revenge factor in their favor. So
yeah, and UConn, I mean, again, just to go to Kansas to get that victory and to get it shorthanded, I think just shows toughness, shows grit.
let's hold on. I mean,
I know not to anoint them. It's just one game.
No. The shorthanded thing doesn't flash because Kansas was missing its best player.
Right. But it's still a difficult trip for us. And with fairly new players across the board, I thought it was a good win. even though
it
they
was
were
great.
missing.
It was a great win. Just don't. UConn was shorthanded. Well, so was Kansas. And
Yeah.
I would argue that Kansas missed Peterson more than UConn missed
Reed.
Willis Reed because
Yeah.
of rival.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, Joe, your prediction for the Florida game, you obviously think that we're going to win that game.
I do. Looking at Florida
Yeah.
and seeing what they've done so far. Yes, I think UConn will win by
safe.
single digits, but they'll win.
Yeah. Maria?
Same.
Yeah. And then the women, not really anything to talk about with DePaul. And then we'll get to USC and next week. That'll be fun to talk about. But it was a good week for both teams. Happy to see that we got some victories. Happy to see some guys play. I hope that Terrace Reed comes back healthy and happy. And I hope Eric continues to play as well as he has been. So for the man himself, Joe, are you happy or are you dissatisfied with Jackson Dart?
Oh, I love Jackson Dart.
Yeah,
I think he's got to take a little bit better care, but he's a guy who's going to run the ball, and I think what Theo Williams did the other night was the right thing, going after the guy. And look, and again, I know we want to get this over with, but we'll talk about this next Monday. The hit on Gunnar Olszewski should have been, if he was in college, he would have been ejected for targeting.
He would have been.
You can't have helmet to helmet on a punt returner like that. That's all.
Yes, 100%.
And Joe Shane has to go. So
I agree with you, Joe Shane.
My main focus today is on that WestCon game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Flow Sports, baby. Flow Sports.
Yeah, you give me your login and I'll watch.
I got you.
5:00. Is it streaming on the website or anywhere?
It's on Flow Sport. It's on the worst sports streaming service known to man, Flow Sports.
Oh, good. I love Flow Sports. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll definitely check it out.
Good luck, MC. Give him.
Thank
him
you.
help.
Appreciate it.
For the icon, legendary voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Joe D, and UConn legend, Western Connecticut State head coach Maria Conlon, who is going to go and play her rival at Eastern today. Wish her luck. I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life.